10 o'clock. Hello, everyone. It's a special edition here of our Alert Day coverage as we're going to update you guys on the radar trends and how we're evolving into this afternoon with the next threats. Yes, another threat of some thunderstorms coming our way. Hello, everyone. I'm Wave Meteorologist Brian Good. It is right at the 10 o'clock hour. Wave Meteorologist Brian Good. Well, did I ever say that? I think I said my name. In case I forgot, I'm Meteorologist Brian Good. It's one of those days. I can't remember what you said. All right. Everyone's in here. Most of you are in here. So we're going to cover a lot in a short amount of time. And a lot of this is going to be focused just on today only. I'm not going to have time to get into the next couple of threats down the road this week or the weekend is looking or even next week. We'll have to do that a different day. Today, it's all about how things are evolving right now and some immediate things that we need to pass along. Fair enough? Let me start first with looking at, let's see if I'll bring this up. Hold on one second. We'll start with the severe risk first. We'll begin with that, and then we're going to get into some of the radar trends. And by the way, you saw Wavy pop in at times. Some of the flooding reports that we're getting, some of the flooded roadways, Wavy will be passing those along at the bottom of the screen. So if you're on the social media side, especially, you'll see that pop in. So you might not always see that alert kick on the bottom of the screen, but in case you hear it, that's what Wavy is doing. So pay attention when you hear that sound, because most of the time it'll be an important message to pass along. Is this meteorologist Brian Good? Good question, Tim. Here's the severe risk today. It is a slight risk, not an enhanced. It's not yet. Don't expect it to be, but it is a slight across Louisville, Indiana, and basically all along and west of 65 appears to be a fair zone. Tomorrow, we're under the severe risk, but it's a lower end. It does look a little messier tomorrow as far as sky condition, so not as much fuel to likely work with. And then on Friday, still a low end severe risk on the maps. And then we'll get a break for a couple of days. And I just realized you can't even see what I'm talking about. There it is. See, there you go. I was just building it up for excitement. So there are the maps. Again, along and west 65. That's that slight risk for the day today. Before we move on, I want to pass along, as you guys know, a lot of areas have been hit hard with very heavy rain and flooding. So this is a message, and I'm sorry it's very distorted here, but let me show it at least the best way I can. This came from the the Jennings County Sheriff's Office, saying this is an urgent post. US 50 East between Butlerville and Nebraska is closed indefinitely due to high water. Please avoid the area until further notice there, because rainfall has compounded the issues and will compound the issues throughout the day. So again, that's an urgent message that came in from the Jennings County Sheriff's Office. As you guys know, Jennings County's had a rough 24 hours with the loss of a 4-year-old due to tree damage that fell into the home yesterday afternoon due to some of these outflows from these storms passing through. So some obviously dealing with some very rough conditions today, while others have really had a drop of rain. But be mindful of that as I go through all the details here of the maps and the radar. If you're thinking, well, I haven't gotten anything, I don't see what the big deal is. There are several people that have been hit hard already here today and are getting hit hard right now with more active weather. So let me start with one of the changes the Weather Service has made, and that is the flood watch, to extend it out to include the Louisville area all the way through tomorrow morning. I got a feeling Indianapolis is probably going to fill in that little gap there with their update a bit later. And we've been tracking this wall of rain that's been between Louisville and Cincinnati throughout much of the overnight. It's drifting a little closer to us, but it will soon run out of gas. At least this particular round will. Then we'll gear up for the next MCS or complex of storms that will dive in later this afternoon, this evening. And it's that one that will be more horizontal in nature. So as it arrives, it'll look more like this instead of a vertical up and down band of rain. I'll show you the radar. That's what's going to lead to likely another round of very heavy rainfall and flash flooding tonight into early on Thursday. Our alert day is set to expire at 10 p.m. today. Got a feeling we'll either end it or we'll extend it all the way through tomorrow morning versus reissuing a new one. We may just be in a continuous alert day until this calms down, just because of the day and night nature now that we're in on this. I mean, we're just entered this whole process yesterday, but you already seen what has happened. Like Ohio has had to go through, in Indianapolis and Chicago. As soon as you get into the zone, it's hard to get out of it. And now we are in it. So let me show you the current radar with that band of rain that has been very persistent. Again, between Louisville and Cincinnati. It's running out of gas. And what I mean by that is that it's ate up as much fuel as it possibly can for now, because it doesn't have any tailpipe to really move it left or right. It's just stuck right now in that area of I-75. So we have to wait until the system just exhausts every amount of fuel it has left before it completely collapses, and then it'll recharge for storms later. Now, notice there's some outflows. Look at the outflows that's shooting out of this on the western side. I mean, there is some chilly air, relatively speaking, underneath all these heavy downpours. And they're trying to surge westbound. Now, if this was 4 in the afternoon, those outflows would be producing widespread, likely severe thunderstorms. But it's 10 in the morning, so we have not acquired enough fuel yet to where all they are is just outflows and not bothering us. But they are absolutely going to be key on where the storms later today will be tracking. They're laying the groundwork down, if you will. Let me get rid of all the rain for just a moment and focus on the alerts, because there's so many different things to look at there. It's overwhelming. It overwhelms me. So let me take it full screen and show you. This is going to be in the lighter green color, and it's mainly on the southern flank of all this. These are flood advisories. They're basically one step below of a flash flood warning. And then when you get into the brighter green, those are flash flood warnings, and some of them are considered considerable flash flood warnings, like we've had in Jennings County. And that's the area it's been hardest hit. I'll show you the rainfall estimates in a second, but that eastern side here of Wave Country, we'll put on, my pen is green for some reason, so that isn't going to help. Let me get it back to my lovely fuchsia color there, because there we go. Sorry about that. This is the area that we're talking about, right in the area. It's been the heaviest of hit as far as the some of the highest rain totals. But even across central Kentucky, you've had a little bit more to work with on the ground to soak, but you've already hit your limit as well. In Louisville, we do have a flood advisory that is out, but no flash flood warning for the city of Louisville. They're just now building into the city, as you'll see here in a second. Here are the radar estimates since this began last night, or yesterday afternoon into last night. And again, these are radar estimates, but I can tell you right now, in some cases, these radar estimates are probably too low. Probably too low here. But it's guessing right now, anyway, the northeast side here of Jennings County, right in this area, about a half a foot of rain, maybe closer to about 8 to 10 inches of rain has fallen. More than 4 inches of rain for the I-71 corridor, just east of Louisville, and about 4 to maybe 6 inches of rain between, I would say, Taylorsville and Lexington. Now, this is where your reports come in handy. If you have a rain gauge, and I'm not talking about one that's poorly designed. I mean, hopefully the more legit rain gauge you got, the better here. But type in your rain total. Some are telling me that they've reached the max limit on the rain gauges and they've overfilled. That tells me what kind of rain gauge you got. Some are digital that are self-tipping, if you will. They empty out but measure the rain. Those are the ones that are the most accurate, but I'll take anything at this point. So any rain total you got to pass along that you have and you have not reset it at all, if you did, make sure you added that into your total. And we'll compare some of your amounts that you're typing in chat from what we're getting on radar estimates as well for the rest of the day today, okay? So I'll let you guys work on that as you type those out, and I'll scan back in a second. Notice in Louisville, by the way, we do have gauges here into the metro. These are first off, here's Southern Kentucky. I didn't want to ignore you all. You haven't had as much rain, but a few spots over an inch, a few spots over 2 inches, mainly east of 65 there. Now, in Louisville, we have the MSD gauges, and this resets at midnight. So this is the only thing that's a little bit skewed here. So you're seeing the colors, but the numbers are not exactly matching. So don't pay attention to the colors. Just look at the numbers. And notice just from this morning alone, more than an inch of rain has fallen, really, in the eastern side here of Jefferson County when those bands, those outflows have pushed out from Oldham County, Shelby County, drifted west to enhance the rain in eastern side of Louisville. While the central and western parts of the county, you've had very little, just a few hundredths of an inch, at least so far. You may pick up another quarter to half inch or so here soon as the rain is building, but we'll have to get ready for the break that'll be coming our way for later. All right, real quick, before I get back to this mess here in Chicago, let me just do a quick close-up view on Louisville on the radar. Let me switch sources here. I'm doing this on the fly. And you can see in Jefferson County, yeah, it's trying to build back up. It really is struggling, right? It hasn't really filled in all the way. It's just been repeating itself over Borton, Indiana, and Clark counties, repeating and then sitting in these pockets of heavier rain right into Northeast Jefferson, Prospect, heading toward Middletown. And then they just fade out. It's just nonstop, repeat, 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 repeat. But it can add up. It can certainly add up. Okay, let me get into now the, let's see if this will load. Bear with me. This is the next MCS that we're tracking as we get into later on for today. This is going to track on the locomotive, if you will. This MCS is going to track on the train tracks that have been put in place now by the current MCS that is over the Ohio Valley. The modeling did quite well. The RFS especially did quite well on sniffing out yesterday afternoon. There will be a north-south flash flooding event that would take place somewhere in Indiana. We didn't know exactly where. We just knew that we had to get that post out. So we started communicating to you guys that this was going to be issue number one we had to face this morning. So our confidence in that particular model has gone up. It's been a little bit more reliable compared to other modeling that's just all over the place. So with that in play now, it gets a little easier to forecast what's next. Because now that we have this groundwork in place, now we have the next locomotive that is ready to go on the tracks. As it dives to the south and east, it will make what will appear as a turn, a hard turn to the right, and dive into southern areas of Indiana to near the Ohio River this afternoon. As it does so, that's where your severe potential will come into play. My question I have here is whether or not we'll have enough heating in advance of it to really worry about a lot of severe, or are we going to just get a round of heavy rain? Good question. The next 4 to 6 hours will determine that. And we have to wait through that window to see how much fuel we're going to get. We know it's coming. We know it's on the track, and there's actually another one behind it. You can see it right there. So there's 2 more that are lined up. But they're all going ahead to the east and then turn southeast as we get to the next 12 to 24 hours. Now what I'm going to do is add on the outlook from, oh, first off, let me show you the cloud cover. Again, this is one of the fuel issues, will be the clouds. The clouds are not really being drifted in any one direction because there's no tailpipe. Normally they blow off and go one way or another. Because there is no real tailpipe, they're basically going up and just kind of drifting everywhere. Kind of like a mushroom in a sense, just kind of blowing up and going over the place. So there is a bit of a canopy hanging over the city right now that goes in all different directions over the top of these thunderstorms. Kind of an umbrella, if you will. Since we're not getting a lot of rain right now in Louisville, this is telling me that we're going to see this canopy of clouds we have now thin out between now and 1 o'clock, which is not what you want to hear. At the same time, there is some blow off there from Illinois, not far from Chicago, that is tracking in advance of them. So that would be interesting to see if that can help, hopefully, and taper down some of the fuel in advance of it. It may not be enough. But that's one factor we have to monitor is fuel today. How much is going to be available? We know we got plenty of moisture. I'm going to show you that in a second. Question will be, will there be enough on the heating side of things to get really high amounts of fuel? And when you get those high amounts of fuel, you get into not only tornado potential, but you run into those straight line winds that can get up to 70 miles per hour or higher, which we saw so much of yesterday afternoon. Wasn't that wild in Cincinnati, how that was just repeating in the Cincinnati area yesterday. All right, now let me add on the Storm Prediction Center outlook. And this was updated about an hour or so ago. And notice where they have drawn the slight risk, not due east. They drew it to aim down to the southeast to go with the train track, if you will, indicating that your severe potential is going to take that southeast look to it today and head between Louisville and Evansville. Will be the zone to watch. Wherever the edge is here, the heating. So that's where they basically stopped the slight risk. They're trying to figure out, okay, where is this going to stop? When will this rain just quiet down, and do the clouds thin out and you get sun? So that's the questionable part of the slight risk. If this clears out faster than expected in the next 2 to 3 hours, and we get more sun than expected in this area, absolutely, they will expand that slight risk a little bit more toward Lexington. But right now I can see why they haven't, because it matches up very well with the current setup. Breaking it down a bit more, and I apologize I didn't put the legend in the banner, but I'll explain it as we go along. Your tornado threat is basically in the same idea of it diving south. What you got to watch for in MCS is mainly the lead edge of them, the lead driver. That's where you're going to get any type of spinning potential and brief tornadoes that can develop. Hard to catch, really hard to catch on radar, but those are the ones that will be on the leading edge. So I really think as that develops a little bit more south and east, that's what we need to watch, is this lead wave, if there's going to be any isolated tornado threat. But that's not the number one threat. The number one threat by far is the damaging wind scenario for us today. And notice they've got it highlighted much more of a concern, again, near Chicago, north central areas of Illinois. And they don't have the concern as drawn out as much for us because of everything I just laid out for you. We don't know how much fuel there will be to bring up those winds to the level of 70 to 80 miles per hour like we saw yesterday. We get another update on this map. I don't think we really need an update. This is just flat out meteorology at this point. We're looking at the data. We kind of know how this is going to go. And I can tell you, until I see more sun break through, I think where the percentages are on the wind are fair. Of the average of being 60, typical for a severe thunderstorm warning. If I see the sun come out here soon, and we begin to really heat up, get close to 90, the concern level of getting 70 plus mile per hour wind gusts is going to go up another notch. And we'll let you know as soon as our confidence goes up on that. But right now, I think where they have everything placed absolutely makes sense. And that's the best way to handle this, because modeling, you just can't use it very well. And these short-term solutions like this, you got to go old-fashioned satellite, radar, and look out the window kind of thing, right? And know what has typically happened with MCSs. And MCSs, I don't like to give them a personality, but they do have a sense of erratic behavior or personality to them. So there are certain things they like, certain things they don't like. And that's fairly easy about them. That's why I think they're one of the easier forms of severe weather to predict once they develop. You kind of know what they like and don't like. And I can tell you that this is an environment they absolutely love. They do not like this environment over here to the east. So they will likely weaken. Even if they continue to race a little more east, the eastern side of it would just weaken and fall apart once it gets into east central Indiana, because it's so rain-cooled air. All right, the last element, I believe, was hail. Yeah, hail threat. Possibly. We didn't see a ton of hail reports out of this. We got more of them last night after we got the outflow, and it cooled down top layer of the atmosphere to where we were getting more pea-size hail, marble size, even mothball size is one of the reports. And that's the only reason we got hail at all, is because the air cooled a bit when we had that little refreshing wave of wind with no drama of thunderstorms. It would not be nice to get that again today without all this mess. But anyway, that's what allowed hail to form, anything that formed after that. Well, today we're building up to where there could be some hail, but if we get too warm outside, I think a lot of that hail would actually melt before you would see it. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let me load up a couple things here. Hold on, hang tight. I'm going to do something a little different here today. A little bit different. Now I hope this, I hope this works. So hang tight. This is going to be a little odd how this looks, and I apologize. I'll try to get better at doing this. It's going to be a little fuzzy looking probably on your screen, but we're going to go through some actual modeling on sites today instead of using our forecast models. At least show you some of the tools. Are you guys cool with that? Are you hiding in chat? I'm not hiding in chat. Don't worry. Are you guys cool with that? Are you cool with me getting a little nerdy here? No one's going to be picking on me like, what is he talking about? He's speaking gibberish. Sometimes you guys like some of the behind the scenes. I don't have a lot of time here, but I want to give you a little bit of some of the tools. And we're still working on a better way to do this for you all, but I'm a big fan of it. I want to look at these rain totals real quick while you guys are answering. 80% of the time you guys are dead wrong. We have another troll again today. Oh boy. Well, you guys usually take care of the trolls, so I don't worry about the trolls. Hey, listen, if the trolls are watching, they're still watching. So thank you for watching. You still help the algorithm. Thank you. Get on with the nerdy. Okay, all right. So to tell me once. All right, this is going to be a lot of you that are weather nerds know what this is. This is the SBC Meso analysis page, right? One of the things I wanted to show you is the precipitable water here. And if you look to see where my cursor is, this is where we're at. Can't see the number there, but that is showing 1.8 is our precipitable water right over Kentucky. That indicates rainfall rate potential. If it's maximized, easily can be about 1.8 up to 2 inches an hour on rainfall. And as we've seen last night, if you get that and it doesn't move, then you can get double that or triple that or even quadruple that, which some have been getting. As far as fuel at the moment, well, I know this is a hard map to read. Again, I'm moving my cursor where we're at. We are not bounded by any type of fuel. It's been exhausted. You see this little hole here that the red lines are not around. That indicates that everything's just about been exhausted. But see how the red lines are real tight together here between Louisville and Evansville. All right, well, that is where the fuel rapidly increases. That is where the sun is out. That is where instability is. And I'm telling you right now, these storms that are up here in Chicago are going to love what's going on in the Wabash and near Evansville and Owensboro. Now, this should expand a little more east. As we get more sun in our area, we're going to see this boundary be a little bit more widespread, but just showing you that everything seems to be on track there. Here is your train track if you want to see it. This is the one way up high at 500 millibars, taking everything due west to east. And then if you look at the wind bars there, then they turn a little more southeast. That's the general motion the storms are tracking on. At the moment, we do have a visible satellite here as well, which is always nice. You can see the little bubbles at the tops of the thunderstorms there, pretty wild. Even right there near Chicago, see a little bit of bubbling in that area. But the sun is out, not far from Terre Haute, Indiana, near Adam right now in Bloomington. Probably a hazy sky there in Bloomington. Adam, let me know. But we'll see how much of this thins out between Louisville and Lexington. That's the area to watch as it moves down to the south and east. We have a lot of helicity, which indicates just your ability to have some turning, and we can look into the future on that and notice it shows a better chance to get an isolated tornado a little bit more into Illinois, a little bit of an elevated value. Usually about 150 gets my attention, 250 to 300 is the one I look at the most. You probably can't read the numbers, but the highest I see there is about 200 on that. But when you deal with, see if I can find it here, sorry. I'm trying to read my own screen. Let's see. Let's see if it'll load. Okay. When you get into any type of QLCS tornado potential, this is an area to watch as these storms dive to the south and east. Let me see if I bring the value up again. I think I lost the wrong one there. There it is. As these storms dive to the south and east, this is where we're going to get at least some isolated spinning that will happen. It's already happened a little bit on the line, but when it travels to the southeast, you want to get a little closer to maybe 35 knots. It's about 25 right now. It does not have a futurecast function on that, so I can't tell what the future will be. So we'll see if this value goes up. But some of you always ask, what about the tornado potential? That's what we'll be watching as it heads to the south and to the east. We can also look at the wind field a little bit closer to the ground. And there's your jet, low-level jet, which, well, this site gets a little quirky. You see the Vort tracks in. This is what's driving the MCS, by the way. Quickly moves from there over into Ohio. Here is the RFS. I think it's updated now. Let me see. No, it is not. Double check. I don't think it's got the new run yet, the 12Z run. But this is where it has the current setup. I mean, look at that. That's pretty spot on. The north-south band of storms, right? And notice what happens as we evolve into this afternoon. It's got the current storms in Chicago. It's lagging a little bit here, but at the same time, this is about where it says the radar should be at the moment. This is the snapshot. And you can tell it's pretty accurate. You got the storms near Chicago. You got the rain and storms between Louisville and Cincinnati. Yeah, it's off a little bit, but close. And as we evolve into the afternoon, you see how the MCS then builds south and east right toward the Ohio River. Notice the western side of it is more active than the eastern side because the eastern side gets into the rain-cooled air that's there now. So it's the western side, especially around Terre Haute to Evansville. That's an area to watch today. Port Evansville, they've been hit a lot. But just wanted to show you some of the modeling that we look at. Kind of gives us an idea of some of the tools in short term. The SPC Meso analysis page is a great one to kind of keep an eye on the fuel to help guide us through some of these storm tracks as we evolve into later on today. Any questions on any of that? Did that make sense? Probably just randomly explained it too fast there. Sorry. It's hard to see on this screen, but one day I'm going to get this to be a better system because I love modeling. I do. I think it's fun and exciting to learn from it. And we're working on a setup that where we can interact more with models and you can interact with us as we do it. And that's what I'm working on. I don't want to just show you Futurecast all the time. I know some of you just want the simple Futurecast. I get it. But there's some of you diehards in meteorology that love it. And you really want the nitty gritty stuff. And I promise you that's going to be a big factor for the winter. We're going to be talking about that a lot. But we'll worry about that another day. Lauren, will this interfere with school dismissal today between 2 and 4? Not that I'm aware of on that idea. I do know that, is it Jennings? I believe Jennings County, let me double check as I put the radar back up. I believe Jennings called out today. I thought I saw that somewhere, but maybe not. But I think they call it. Someone's in Jennings County. You guys probably do know. I know that in Muncie, Indiana, outside of our area, they're evacuating at least part of the community there in Muncie. Flash flood emergency. Multiple city blocks are being evacuated in Muncie, Indiana. I thought for sure I saw, though, that one of the districts had closed, but maybe I missed that. Let me check and see. Tawana's texted me. Jennings is canceled. Thank you, Tawana. She's watching. So they are canceled today just because they were going into delay mode and they're like, you know what, just forget it. Oh, you guys are chatting too. Thank you all. Yeah, Highway 50 is just the mess, Shelley. It's bad. And Highway 50. Yes, we need the stuff. We need stuff. There you go. Thank you, Red. Appreciate that. 4 inches there, Karen says, into Frankfurt. Time frame. All right. I was waiting for that. Ashley, let me get you that screen. I knew I had a segue I was trying to get to. This is an early snapshot of how we're looking on the time frame. We'll continue to adjust this. Obviously, the rain chance is fairly high now, especially for areas along and east of 65. That will ease a bit. This entire rain blob will decrease in coverage. I'll keep it in alert status, though, just because of the ongoing high water issues that are taking place still. That will take some time to go down. Then we gear up for this evening, and we're going to aim toward the 5 to 6 p.m. newscast, somewhere in that area that we're going to be running into for the next MCS out of Chicago. But since it's already on the map, it's already on the radar, that's going to be a lot easier for us to track hour by hour. So Ashley, stay tuned. We'll send out updated times on the Wave Weather app. We'll push out those times once we get a better handle of arrival. And we'll draw it around the communities that are next in line. So make sure your location service is turned on. And if you're next in line in the community to be impacted by the next MCS dropping in, we'll list the threats with it. If there are anything that you need to worry about as far as those elements go, and we'll list the times and we'll just notify you down the list as we head into this afternoon and this evening. Fair enough? I'll be on, of course, on midday. We're going to have newscast on today at 3. If there's some reason we need to be on before then, I hope not. But if there is a reason to be on, I will be on. And we will talk about anything we need to pass on at that point. We're not going anywhere. All right. So there's going to be some adjustments as the day wears on here today. But I still think the biggest question we've got to answer now between about now and about 1, 2 o'clock is how much do we recover now? how much does the sun come out? How much do we heat? That will answer this whole second leg here of the alert day. What I didn't get a chance to get into a lot of detail about, and we will later, especially in our newscast, is that once this MCS fades out, that moves in tonight, there are signals that it may linger. And if it lingers, it will do the same thing that we are facing this morning, but more along I-64. It will linger along the 64 corridor all the way through sunrise tomorrow. That will be another flash flooding event. And with two of them back to back, some of them are going to overlap. With the current one being at play right now, that's not good. That could lead us into a big issue for later tonight and tomorrow if that indeed happens. I don't want to scare you that it's going to happen. That's just something that we are watching carefully, and we're monitoring the overlap more than anything. And if we see a zone that is growing more concerning on that, then we'll get that message out as well. But it goes without saying, if you live in a flood-prone area, or you've got issues already right now, you need to spend today, when we get this little ease that happens, to just get somewhere else, get some high ground, stay at a friend's house or something, and let's let this system pass by in the next 24 hours, and then therefore they'll take the worry off your plate, right? I don't want you to risk it. And if you work second or third shift and you had a rough time, if you're watching at work right now or already at home trying to go to bed, if you had a rough time traveling the roads with how heavy the rain was coming down, it was hard to see, you may be facing a repeat again tonight. So make those adjustments as well. As we say, turn around, don't drown. Find a different route that's very well lit and just as well, or just stay tuned and we'll guide you through the times to avoid. All right. We want you guys to be safe. We've already, unfortunately, lost a life. I know it wasn't due to flooding, but it was still due to severe weather, and one life is too many. And I've got a lot of water issues going on. Some rescues and some communities are being evacuated. So I'm asking for empathy. Not everybody's dealing with the same thing right now, but there are others, and these are your neighbors that are having a really rough day today. So we want to make sure that we are there for everybody. Looking at the 10-day briefly, we are still on track to calm down this weekend and heat up. That's the only plus. That's the only time I'm hardly ever going to be excited about heat, is the idea it'll be a quiet weekend because we need a break. All right, I got to run. I'm so sorry. We'll see you guys coming up on midday. Keep the Wave Weather app close by, and we'll keep you updated throughout our newscast as well. Take care, everybody.